Hi, I'm Danny King, the co-founder and CEO of Scalable. We started Scalable to change the way the world thinks about credentials. Let me tell you why, and what we believe a certificate should be. The way we learn is changing. Learning environments are increasingly giving us more data about how well students are learning, and I think we would all agree that this trend is going to continue. I'm sure you've all seen quotes like this one from UNESCO that predict an extra 100 million university students by 2025, and so we need to make sure that our education system scales to meet that level of demand. One area of the learning ecosystem that could be a lot better is the credential. They haven't changed meaningfully for hundreds of years. They're still mostly just a name and a grade and an institution on a piece of paper or a digital equivalent of that. But let's take a moment to think, in an ideal world free of limitations, what would a credential be if we could design them from scratch today? Well, this is what we believe. Firstly, they would be scalable. It wouldn't matter if learning happened with 10 people in an intimate classroom or 100,000 people on an online course. Credentials today get their currency from an institution vouching for you, and that's usually done by sitting you down and evaluating you. That works well for 10 or even 1,000 people, but it just doesn't scale to 100,000 people in an online course. Imagine if we could put evidence of your learning onto the certificate itself, though, for anybody to see for themselves. Then, as long as somebody could prove that they've learned something, they could demonstrate that with credibility. In an ideal world, credentials would be flexible. No two learners are the same. Very often, two people with exactly the same credential, exactly the same grade, will have totally different strengths. It's hard to get enough information about what a candidate can do from their credentials without sitting them down and interviewing them, because the data we have on their certificates is too low resolution. Imagine if each learner's credential included but went beyond just a name and a grade, and enabled them to showcase evidence of their knowledge or their skill in a way that demonstrates it best for them, allowing them to show where they specialize and what they're passionate about from their course. Credentials should be ongoing. A credential shouldn't just be a snapshot of your ability at a particular point in time, such as the day you did your examination. They would evolve and update as you progress through life and add to your skills and your knowledge. They would constantly be up to date. They would be comprehensive. A lot of learning happens inside the classroom. A lot of learning happens outside it too. In your projects and assignments, in discussions with friends, in extracurricular activities, in our ideal world, all of the learning that you do, no matter where or how you do it, would be accounted for on your credential. And finally, we believe credentials should stop being so scary. We want to make it a thing of the past, that a student, even if they've mastered the course content, isn't sure whether or not they will express themselves in the right way in an exam to get the grades or the credentials that they deserve. At Scalable, we're taking the first step towards this new vision for credentials with our certificate management system. Here's a sneak preview, but to find out more, please visit scalable.com.